Are you a creative entrepreneur and find yourself bouncing from project to project? Well, whether that's because you have ADHD or you're just looking for that perfect side hustle to help you get out of your 9 to 5, or you just genuinely enjoy the creative process. I'm interviewing today Taniko Hassle, who's the founder of What Drives You. It's a motivational YouTube channel that is dedicated to discovering what motivates people to succeed through inspirational stories, interviews with fascinating guests about their passions, all while driving in a car, which is hence why I'm in my car today.
I'm a creative at heart. The challenge with it, especially being consistent, is sometimes just getting out of your own way. I want to be a perfectionist. I get distracted really easy. I come back to it and it's like, it's not perfect now, so I don't want to do it. Get myself out of that mindset of everything needs to be perfect before I can put it out and just start doing more.
We're talking about navigating business and life with ADHD, how to find the motivation to build the life that you want, and how to be consistent as a creative entrepreneur. Welcome to the Blueprint Podcast and Architect Network. Let's get started. Well, hey man, welcome to the Blueprint Podcast. We worked together at Compass for a year, and then I transitioned out in 2023 and went full-time entrepreneurship. So I've been pretty busy on my end, but you've also been busy, man. You guys moved from the West Coast to the East Coast, had a baby, trans jobs. I mean, you got a lot going on, man. So how you keep up with all that?
My life has always been a journey. Things have always been kind of interesting for me. I've moved around a lot. Um, you know, Recently made the transition from California to Charlotte, North Carolina, where I'm currently live now. I have, we welcomed our second child to the world a little over a year ago. My son Miko, and he's doing wonderful now. And we made the transition to be closer to family, which has been great. I've been able to see my parents and my sisters
Yeah.
and stuff more than I did the entire 9 years that I was in California. And mother-in-law is like 2 hours away. So when on those days when the baby's all sick and stuff, and we need someone to watch him, there's a lot more opportunity for it.
So another change that happened was that you got diagnosed with ADHD. So what was that like being diagnosed as an adult?
I kind of always known, and so I took the test based on a recognition from my father, because my father, he took the test recently, maybe a couple months ago, and he was diagnosed with ADHD. And then my sisters were talking about it, and my dad actually interviewed him for one of my episodes on my YouTube channel,
Mm-hmm.
and he he was saying, like, after, like, not in the conversation during the recording, but afterwards, like, you should kind of look into it or whatever. But yeah, I've kind of always known that I've had it. Um, I can remember back being in, like, elementary school, taking Scantron tests. And if I got like three things in a row, I start singing a song in my head, like tic tac toe, three in a row. Mama got shot by a G.I. Joe for no
Yeah.
reason. Like, just because it was three answers that happened to be in a row, or if it was four, connect four. And then, but I've always had a way to kind of like snap myself back to whatever it is that I was doing.
Yeah.
I do get distracted a lot. I do find myself, starting things often, and going to new projects frequently, and having great ideas of stuff. But my execution, it hasn't always been there. And so that's been,
Yeah.
one of the things that's always been a challenge for me is executing. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of what I've, started really focusing on. And that's why I started the channel, was just to execute and try to fall in love with the process, and um, not do too much that it's,
Mm.
taken away from any other parts of my life, but just being able to do something that, kind of gives me joy, gives me purpose.
Yeah, I love that, man. And let's kind of move into the challenge with executing, because like I said in the intro, a lot of creative entrepreneurs have struggled with being consistent with projects, especially people like musicians and photographers and, like, creative entrepreneurs in whatever discipline. It's kind of like you just bounce from project to project. And so can you describe more of that challenge and how you think ADHD has or hasn't impacted that in a positive or negative way?
Yeah, especially because I'm a creative at heart. My degree was in graphic design, so I've always been kind of like artistic. I like to draw and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like the challenge with it, especially being consistent, is sometimes just getting out of your own way. Like, because I'm a creative, I want to be a perfectionist. But then, I'm trying to be a perfectionist, but then I get distracted really easy, and then I come back to it and it's like, oh, it's not perfect now, so I don't want to do it, or it just kind of like consistently trying to stay and follow up with what I was doing, what
Mm-hmm.
I had set myself, set my goals to do, and then I come back and realize I'm like, you know what, it's not perfect. So I had to really like kind of get myself out of that mindset of everything needs to be perfect before I can put it out, and just start doing more. There's a realtor who sends out an email to our entire organization every single day, 365 days a year. And he said something that kind of stuck out to me, where that he only does things 80% well, 80% done. He's like, if it's 80% done, I'll push it out. Uh,
Mm.
there might be spelling errors, there might be something wrong with it or whatever. I can always go back and just say, oh, my bad. I
Yeah.
I sent it too soon or whatever. But I'm at least get it out there and get out there 80%. And so I kind of like started adopting that model to just putting things out there. Like I had the idea for my YouTube channel for more than a couple years. I
Mm.
bought the equipment, started buying stuff for it, but then I didn't execute on it. I don't know. I'm going through some challenges through life, and I was like, I'm just gonna do it.
And like I think I also have ADHD. I'm undiagnosed, but I some of the things you've described and things I've seen in other family members, I'm like, yeah, I probably have ADHD too. But part of my journey is there's obviously like negative aspects sometimes or more challenging aspects where it's like, harder to stay focused or to stay on track with things. But what's something for me is like I've constantly evolved and constantly tried new things because of that. So I've got to experience a lot of different things, which has then helped me figure out what I like and what I don't like, which has helped me get better by 1% because I'm like, okay, I know what I want to do. I know what I like. And so it's helped me kind of even like get more specific because I've tried a lot of different things with me and this podcast and this YouTube channel. This feels like the secret sauce that I've always had in my life. I'm just like, yo, why did it take me so long to find this? Right. But it's like, cause I was just trying things. Right. So now I know, hey, this is the thing. And now it's like trying new video formats and trying new guests and different topics and like constantly trying new things and just getting a little bit better every time. So that's
Mhm.
kind of like been my kind of journey with, undiagnosed ADHD. But like,
Yep.
talk about your mindset, right? Because there had to be a mindset shift for you in terms of loving the process, right? Because before I think you had an app that you were developing maybe a year or two ago, and there's some other creative projects that you were doing. So talk about the mindset shift that you had to have to, okay, hey, now I'm going to just be 80% and just get it out and just start and like talk about that motivation, that mindset behind that.
I was kind of like you, like I was undiagnosed until recently,
Mm-hmm.
and so, but I never saw it as a disability. I just kind of saw it as a superpower that had some challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And so the mindset shift for me was just like realizing that I hadn't accomplished a lot of the stuff that I initially thought of. Like I did develop I was in a product management course and we developed an app and we kind of started out with it, but then as soon as the program ended, our group kind of ended and it didn't continue from there. And so that was one of the reasons why it was like a little bit of a struggle to continue that. But that wasn't the first project that's happened on. It's not the last project that's happened on. That probably will happen on. But I just realized that like if I want to accomplish anything, like I can't make excuses. Like
Mm.
there are people with ADHD that run businesses. I'm pretty sure Elon Musk has a version of it with the amount of
Yeah.
stuff that he's focusing on. Um, but just don't use it as an excuse. Don't use it as a crutch. Just kind of learn ways to really um, hone in on it. And like that's why I said I'm falling in love with the process. By like I don't like video editing isn't something that I really love. I
Mm-hmm.
do it. I found some shortcuts to make it happen.
Right.
But just the process of doing it and like knowing that I can get a little bit better at it and whatever is what kind of motivates me. And so, I like to shoot the video. I like to record. I like talking to people. I like having conversations, which is why I do what I love. But then there's other parts of the process that I don't love so much. And then whenever I can, get a little bit more funding, then I'll outsource that as fast as possible. I've tried like doing like 12-week year. I've tried, setting goals and setting New Year's resolutions, all those kind of things. And, maybe because of my ADHD or maybe just because of whatever, I, you know, halfway through the year, I'm not even focused on it anymore. I got something else that I'm playing. And it's resulted in me learning a lot of different things and trying,
Hmm.
just continuing my education, which is
Yeah.
great. But I realized that I just need to start executing more and just sit down and do it. And
Right.
so that was just kind of the mindset shift. It was just, like, yes, you have great ideas. You come up with all this stuff. You're really creative. You can make jokes and all these type of things. But like, what have you done? And
Yeah.
so that was where the like, just let me sit down and just do these things.
For me, similar is like I think there's like your mindset is so important in terms of how, like where you get the motivation from, because like for me this podcast, this YouTube, like I'm building it and I've released the pressure of it being like my breadwinner. Like I've released the pressure of this being like, all right, I'm gonna go try to make a ton of money on YouTube. Like I definitely have financial goals that I want to hit with this, and I want to I want to be a digital nomad and be able to 3 years be able to be anywhere in the world and having a YouTube channel. But I've just really said, okay, I want to be the best at what I do. Like I want to and the most quality pound for pound best YouTube podcast for entrepreneurs who want to grow their faith community and their business, right? So I'm set out to do that, and I'm set out to bless people with my podcast and like help other people shine and help find the gold in other people's stories and like broadcast that and build a platform for them. And so that's like a different mindset. And so that's what I think is going to allow me to sustain this project and sustain this and make it something that I'm like, I genuinely enjoy doing it. And I already can sense that like, I could see myself doing this for another 10 years. Right. And this is the first time I've ever been able to say that about any creative project or business I've been a part of. Right. And it's all just a
Yeah.
shift of mindset and just releasing some of the pressure that sometimes that pressure is what, like you said, like those goals. You set a goal and you're like, okay, I got to get this goal. I got to get these many followers or these many subscribers or this much money, and then you don't hit it, and then you feel neglected or like, what did I do wrong, right? But it's like, I enjoy the process and like obviously set goals to challenge yourself, but also find ways to make it fun and release the pressure off of it. Okay, let's talk about the car concept because like I don't think I've seen some comedians like we talked about before. There's some comedians who've done like in the car
Yeah,
type
the
stuff,
cars.
but in terms of like
Yep.
what you're doing and kind of the vibe you're doing it, I think it's a really unique creative thing. And so I had a lot of fun just kind of setting up my car. I got some lights in here and setting up the lighting. It was kind of fun trying to making it a creative project, So like talk about the concept behind that and kind of what you're trying to accomplish with your channel. I know you've mentioned a little bit, but just kind of long term, like what's your goal and
Yep.
kind of why the car?
So the reason why I chose to do it in the car is because I love to drive. One of the
Mm-hmm.
things, so I'm originally from Bermuda, and Bermuda is an island that's only 21 square miles. I can drive around the entire island in 2 hours and touch literally every point. But one of the things I do love about being in the U.S. and that's is that the fact that I can just drive for hours and hours and hours and be somewhere different and find something new. And so that's kind of where like why I wanted to do it. It's called What Drives You, and it was kind of a play on words because it is about people's motivations, but also too is like, what kind of cars, what kind of car do you like? And
Mm-hmm.
I like to ask you what's your dream car? Like if money was no object, what is it that you would like to drive? And because it kind of tells a little bit more about people and what they kind of value.
Right.
You would think that most people would say like, I want to drive a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, da, da, da. But most people have like different aspirations. I have a lot of people have said classic cars, like a '69 Impala, or
Mm-hmm.
um, one of my friends said he wanted this like a 1960 pickup truck, like a Ford
Nice.
pickup truck. Like, and then I'm just, those are things that kind of make it a little bit more unique. Um, I don't know, like like I said, I just love to drive, and where I want to see the kind of channel go is just I just want to have more interactions and more unique conversations with different people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at some point, I would like to have nicer cars that I'm having these interviews in. I'm not going to
Yeah.
say that I have I have my Volkswagen GTI, which is a great car, and I'm going to keep that car forever.
Yeah.
Got to maintain it and stuff like that. But it would be nice to do it in like a nice Mercedes, or
Mm.
even a McLaren, or just something. Just I want to still have that be a possibility.
Yeah.
And just I'm just gonna continue to grow. Like I want to add more camera angles so that like the
Yeah, and
conversation.
bro, like cars are such cool content. Like you can create
Yep.
such dope concepts around like your intro video and like all the different elements. You're gonna get so much creative leverage with that concept. I love that.
Yeah. And so yeah, and that's why like so I just want to kind of continue to grow, try
Hmm.
different things. Like in the pandemic, when the pandemic started is when I first started like really filming stuff. like I would take pictures. I would take iPhone pictures, and I did like a little portrait series with with a digital camera one time. I was doing like black and white photo. I don't know. It was a vibe at the
Hmm.
time.
Yeah.
But like I started researching like videography and how to use doing iPhone videography and stuff like that. And then I started researching different editing programs. And so I was
Hmm.
using LumaFusion for a while. That was my main go-to. Now I've been using a lot of CapCut on the desktop because it just does pretty much everything you need it to do
Right.
for most video. And so yeah, I've just kind of been, then I started like I'd be on YouTube and go down a rabbit hole of like how to shoot cinematographic video with your iPhone and just do this
Hmm.
and acting like I'm on a gimbal and drone footage and just with the handheld and stuff. And so I just, I've kind of taken that concept of being able shooting car photography and shooting stuff like that, and then just applied it to like the YouTube channel.
I think the thing that's interesting to me is a lot of people who aren't achieving the life that they want, that aren't don't feel stagnant or feel like they're not building the life that they want long term. A lot of times, a big difference between those people and the people who are building life they want is that people who aren't are consumers. Like they're consuming information, they're consuming entertainment,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not creating, they're not building, right? And so I love
Yeah.
this concept. A lot of times, we spend a lot of time, if you drive a lot or you commute, you're spending a lot of time listening to podcasts or listening to music. You're
Mm-hmm.
consuming information. I love that you've kind of switched that on its head. Where, okay, now you're creating inside the car something you already have to drive every day, or you already have to spend in your case, you love doing it, so you're already going to be doing that. So why not build the life that you want while doing a thing that you have to do anyway? And so I really love that idea. You've mentioned a couple of times Compass, right? So I know that you're working at Compass, and I can't remember the
Mm-hmm.
exact role that you're in right now, but talk about how you navigate entrepreneurship and your creative project as a 9 to 5, right? Obviously, and with kids, right? So you got a lot of
Yeah.
responsibilities. So how are you finding the energy, the time, and the motivation to keep doing this thing and keep getting better at it, right? Because I mean, you only have so much time and so much energy. So how do you continue to improve and find more capacity within the limited time that you have?
Caffeine.
Right.
So I don't know. Like I've always been a person. On average, I sleep like 6 hours a night. That's just
Okay.
kind of been how I've been since like high school. I know they tell you to get 8 and all that kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
you know, and it just I don't know. Like my mind is always I'm more nocturnal than I am a morning person.
Hmm.
But I've had to become a morning person with kids and with work and stuff like that.
Right.
But so I just try to like prioritize my time and do things that I can. You know, the quote that your 9 to 5 should fund your 5 to 9, and then until your 5 to 9 can replace your 9 to 5. And
Mm.
so I just always try to like continue doing something, continue learning. Like if I'm at work and then I'm just doing like a data project or something like that where I have to like just enter some stuff. I'll listen to a podcast. I'll listen to something that kind of inspires that motivation. Or I'll have one of those YouTube videos that are talking about like how you shoot this different way or whatever, kind of going in the background. And then once I do that, then I can go when I go home, spend some time with the kids. Kids go
Hmm.
to bed usually around by 8 o'clock. So after 8 until midnight, which I'm gonna finally end up going to sleep. Try to relax a little bit, maybe try to do a workout, but then also too just try to like spend at least an hour or so on something creative, uh,
Yeah.
and just kind of just to do that, just to and it I that's why I say I try to like find shortcuts and you know the tips and tricks and how to navigate something like the video editing and stuff like that, because it does take longer than what I like to spend on it, but
Hmm.
just literally just like taking like I know that if I want the life that I want, I can't just do what I'm doing.
Mm.
Like my 9 to 5, I get paid pretty well and it pays the bills and stuff like that. But I know that if I want to afford the things that I like, then the cars that I want, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
um, I have to do more. And so that's just kind of like how I try to approach most of my days is just trying to do more. Some days I do get lazy and just want to sit around and watch Netflix or whatever. But
Yeah.
then if I watch maybe like more than 2 hours of Netflix, then I'm sitting like I could be doing something better with my time.
Right.
And then I, go read or something, or go watch a YouTube video that talks about that's teaching me something, or study
Mm-hmm.
for my real estate exam, or just different little things here and there, because I think that, like I said, like if I can be normal, I can be regular, but it's not going to make me spectacular or
Mm.
exceptionary or extraordinary. You know, the difference between extraordinary and ordinary is that little bit extra. And so that's just kind of why I do more, after work and stuff like that, and sometimes in the
Yeah.
mornings, or you know, like I've been up to like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning trying to edit the video, and then I'll start the uploading process and then go to bed while my computer's awake, plugged in so that it continues uploading while I go to sleep, and then wake
Mm-hmm.
up early in the morning. My kids get up, get them ready for school and make sure that the video is uploaded, and then I'll go write the caption and do all kind of stuff, because I wanted to get it out, and I know I have to make these sacrifices if I want to do that.
Yeah, part of my motivation and what's really driving me in terms of my content is my faith. And I'm using this as an opportunity to grow the kingdom of God. Like I said
Mhm.
earlier, by helping build a platform so that other people can grow their businesses, grow their platforms or their brands, and then also helping people to see the God in them. And so this has just been an opportunity for me to build community and a community of other people who are, faith entrepreneurs, creative entrepreneurs. So talk about your faith. I know your faith is something that's important to you, and you mentioned that your dad was a pastor. And so how has that impacted this creative process for you and your entrepreneurship, or just kind of your life in general?
I like to say that I'm more spiritual than religious.
Okay.
So like I did grow up. My dad is a pastor. I grew up in the church. I was a pastor's kid and everything like that. Um, but my relationship with organized religion sometimes, it wasn't always the best. I'll just say that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but like I still believe in like a higher power. I still believe. I just kind of like let flow and let the universe speak. Me transferring to Charlotte was something that just kind of happened. Like I had my mindset that I wanted to move to Charlotte. So
Mm-hmm.
I came out to Charlotte to visit, to look up some properties and do some things and stuff like that. And it just so happened that the position that I'm in opened up because the person was leaving that same week. And so like, I was like, that's a sign for you. Like the universe is saying like, hey,
Yeah.
here's a position and the city that you want to be, with the same company, so you don't have to like change too much. All you got to do is like, interview and transfer or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just kind of like, I've always just kind of like let things happen. Um, and just kind of take things as they come, take things as the universe or God sees it to happen,
Mm-hmm.
because I can only control what I can control. Like when I was living in Japan, I thought I was going to be in Japan for a few years. I had a job lined up. I was studying Japanese. I was going to finish out my degree there.
Yeah.
And then 3 months into my time out there, the the largest earthquake recorded in history hit.
Wow.
And so, that just kind of shook things up, and that just kind of changed how my worldview and everything,
Mm.
like that. But it brought me back to this side of the world, and like part to me is like I miss it. I should have stayed and all that kind of stuff. But other part of me is like, there was a reason why that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I learned a great deal of just about life in the world by living in Tokyo. But
Mm-hmm.
whatever, I need to be back on this side of the world. Immediately the next summer from coming back was when I met my wife. She was on
Mm.
Bermuda vacationing, visiting, and I was there working for the Department of Tourism. We got started a conversation or whatever. We didn't start dating until like a year later, but like things kind of happened. So,
Yeah.
yes, I wasn't in Japan anymore. I was kind of sad and depressed that I wasn't there. Had to go back home. Went to Philly for a little minute. Hated it there. Was back home again, and then trying to figure out, what my next moves were. And then I,
Yeah.
meet the person who ends up, mothering two of my children, and spending the
Right.
last decade with. So it's, everything kind of just happens for a reason. Um,
Mm.
there, of course, I'm human, so I'm not saying that like I'm always excited about some of the results and stuff like that. Um, I'm not always happy. I'm a Jets and Knicks fan, and so that's personally enough as it is. But
Same. I'm a Cowboys fan, bro. I mean, I'm kind of yeah, I'm kind of in that boat with you as well.
my father
Yeah.
always used to tell me that you make your bed and you lie in it. So whatever consequences for my actions that I've received, I just kind of accepted, and then
Yeah.
yes, I just learn from it and move on and try to move differently, try to not make the same mistakes over and over again. So yeah,
Man, that's so good. I just love that like purpose and destiny has kind of guided you and you've been open to it. And like you said, I mean, there's been challenges, things that you thought you thought you were going to be living in Japan and you end up back in the States, and just how all those things still, I think there's a verse in things Philippians that talks about all things work to the good who are called according to their purposes. And so it's like everything that happens in your life can be good or bad depending on how you look at it, right? And
yeah,
so that's the kind of perspective of being able to pivot, try new things, but also kind of find your purpose in the midst of trying new things, and being able to really look at the world and change your mindset. And so I think that's kind of like the thing that I hope someone's watching this, that they can kind of hear that underlining tone of like, keep trying, don't give up, and really recognize that everything that happens in your life is for a purpose, and be
yeah.
willing to change and navigate and adapt how you see the world and what you think about your creative expression and entrepreneurship and how all those things combine together. Well, bro, this has been such an honor to hear your story, and I love just the multifaceted aspects of it, from creative entrepreneurship, navigating ADHD, positives, challenges that family life, immigration, and all the mindset things that happen behind how to be consistent. I think this was a really valuable conversation. I appreciate your time, man, and good luck on what drives you. If you want more information on what Taniko's doing, his information will be in the description. Go subscribe to his channel and see the future content he has coming out. It'll be fun watching you grow, bro. So thank y'all for watching the Blueprint Podcast. I'll see y'all next time.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man.